All right. Welcome, everybody. Frank Dippold here from Velocity of Money. And I have my good buddy, Brett SIKORA from eXp Realty. So we're excited today to talk about a bunch of stuff. So what's up, Brett? Say hello to the world.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody going? Thanks for having me on this broadcast. I think this is like my second or third with you at this point. Or this is the new. Yeah. I should ask you, what's up with the Velocity of Money University?
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
First, we're going to talk about you guys. Yeah, we're going to talk about you guys. And I was actually laughing this morning because am I allowed to talk about the fact that you are expecting a baby very soon?
Yeah, definitely. No, you're
so
good.
I said to my wife, I hope Brett shows up because they might be having a baby, and then I'll have to change my material to not having Brett on the show. Yeah. But anyway, so good stuff. So I want to start with, we're doing these weekly podcasts with people that are making a difference in the real estate and mortgage world, right? And I like to think I make a difference in the mortgage world. And you and I met a couple of years ago, and we hit it off instantly because not only obviously do you have a huge organization at XP, and you guys are killing it, which we're going to talk about, but also you were kind of a real estate investor first, or did that happen simultaneous to becoming a realtor? And then we're going to back up and talk about your past and what got you to this point.
Cool. So where do you want me to? Do you want me to start with the past or the where do you want me to start?
I don't know.
So I hear that, and let me start where I want to start. Then let's do that. So I hear that, and I immediately think, so yeah, let's rewind. I was one of the worst students, as I feel like a lot of people that are good at sales typically are. I think I graduated high school with a 1.8 GPA. I was barely in high school, and I knew that. My guidance counselor in June of 2004, when I'm graduating high school, was like, Brett, you haven't even applied for colleges. And I had zero desire to go to college. It wasn't even a thought of mine. So what did I do? I had a fancy 2002 blue Subaru WRX, which was a cool car in high school. And very thankful for my dad for getting me that car. I ended up selling it. I got a Ford F-150. I got a pickup truck. I got actually didn't have the trailer to start. Got it afterwards. I got a push behind lawnmower and basically created a whole landscaping company. Did that for quite some time and realized that the profit margins were not where I wanted them to be. You really do. And kudos to anybody who has a successful landscaping company, construction company, anything like that. You really do get squeezed on margins quite a bit. And I knew that I wasn't trading my time for what my highest income producing activity could be. And I feel like I was really chasing, guys around work sites and stuff all day long. It wasn't empowering. It's not what I wanted to do. So everybody, this is 2006, 2007, everybody's making money in real estate. I'm like, shit, I want to sell this company. I want to become a real estate investor. I want to start flipping properties because anybody could do it, right? It was like, you just sign here, get a mortgage, and then it's worth 40 grand more the next day, in theory. Yeah. So I ended up selling the real estate. I sold the landscaping company in June of 2007, got into real estate with my real estate license. And by then it was not a good time to be flipping. Like the tide had kind of turned. It started to get a little scary. So I didn't do anything with purchases. And I just said, well, I got my real estate license. Let me start selling some real estate. Long story short, I failed at that one time around, had to go into the car business. And the reason why I bring that up is anybody who's listening, it's okay to fail. It's okay to suck at this when you take your first crack at it. I was 21, 22 years old. It did not go as planned. My credit score sucked as a result of it. A lot of bad things happened. I owed credit cards money. I blew through my savings and I kind of had to dig out of that. 2008, we hit rock bottom. That's when Lehman Brothers failed and everything. And I actually had to get back into real estate because the car business failed at that time too. Yeah. So I had my back up against the wall and I realized that there was only one way that I could really make this work. And that's when I moved to Hoboken. I started doing a lot of rentals at a mom and pop shop and, started on a Friday, did my first rental that Sunday, made $700. And I want to say the rest is kind of history because I glance over, 09 to 2015-ish or so. But from there, that's when I really started making real money, like good money, had some fun with it, became complacent. And then when I met, who's now my wife, Kara, that's when I really dug in and started skyrocketing on the income and the whole building the business side of things. So that's like the quick overview. And 2015 was when I actually bought my first investment, but I only got my real estate license to buy investment properties back in 2007.
Yeah, I find a lot of those guys come to my seminars, and I've had people who come to seminar after seminar, and they're like, I thought I was going to flip properties, but you're making me want to really be a realtor. Why? Because we could educate people, and it's not just, hey, let's drive them around and show them a few houses and hope that they use us for the transaction. It's if we educate people and we show them why real estate is so powerful, then we all have that sort of additional value versus our competition. Yeah. So what happened at some point, I think it was probably 19, that EXP became, something that you were so interested in. And it's funny because I saw the model down in Naples, Florida, maybe 18 months before you guys moved over. And I'm clearly not a realtor. I do mortgages. And I went home to my wife and I said, you have to get your real estate license. I'm like, I love that EXP model. And we have 5 kids, as you know. So she didn't get a real estate license because she didn't have any time. Yep. But what attracted you to EXP? And then we'll talk about, kind of where you've grown since you guys moved over there.
Yeah. So we were with Keller Williams. I loved Keller Williams. I loved the people at Keller Williams. That was one of the tougher companies for me and I have left other real estate companies. That was definitely the toughest one to leave. And what had started, the search for me was the fact that, we were trading money with the company for what should have been value, in my opinion. And with the growth and the goals and the plans that I had, I realized that that dollar figure that I was giving the company was not going to create the information that I needed to go where I wanted to go. So with the search, it had nothing to do with EXP being this huge collaborative model or anything. I was actually looking for an inexpensive place to operate from. And I realized that EXP, a lot of people were looking at it. So we started to explore the model. And yeah, I had a lot of people bounce it off me like, hey, come check out EXP, come do this. They'd text me a video, some crap. Like, I don't, I'm not going to watch this. I'm too busy. And I'm really happy at Keller Williams. And what had happened was in August of 2018, Gary Keller mentioned EXP on the stage with Brad Inman for the first time. And he started shuddering, started acting a little bit weird. And I was like, well, maybe I should pay attention to this company. So Dave DeVoe and I at the time, we went exploring quite a bit deeper. And that's when we linked up with Kyle Whistle, Dan Beer, Mary Maloney, Tammy Pack, which has now become like such an intense production-based downline at EXP, where I'm talking like Dan Beer did 330 million. He's number 2 in all of EXP. Like, we're constantly masterminding together. And we were spending a lot of time with them via Zoom that fall. And then in January of 2019, before we made the final jump, they invited us out to Scottsdale, Arizona. DeVoe and I are at dinner with Joe Oz, who came over at the same time with us from KW as well. The 3 of us are sitting there at dinner in Scottsdale, and we realize it's Jay Kinder, Michael Reese. It's some of like literally the sharpest people at all of EXP and in the world sitting at this dinner table. And Dave and I are across the table from each other and just quickly realizing we're the 2 dumbest people sitting there. Joe Oz was dumb too. We were the 3 dumbest people sitting at that table.
That's a good room to be in.
Yeah. And that was when we all looked at each other and we said, I don't ever want to sit at a different table. So since then, we were doing 46 million. We finished that 2018 year with 46 million in volume. And then in the last 2 years, we were able to grow it to 123 million in volume. And what's fun about January and February of this year already is we're already double the production amount from last year. So we're like, without seasonality or anything coming into play, we're already pacing 260 million this year. So there's a lot to be said behind that. And people are like, oh, well, you got a good coach. And I do have a good coach. Bill Pipes is an absolute badass, but I also have a really good family, and I constantly keep sitting at that table that I'm the dumbest person at. So
yeah, that's huge. And I joined an organization out of California called the Multiple Club, which I've told you about. And the same exact thing happened to me. I was in a room in November of this year with about 30 guys, and I'm looking around, and I'm always sizing people up, right? Like it goes back to literally playing the Caldwell Chiefs in Pop Warner football in 5th grade. And I get there and I'm the quarterback and I'm looking at these guys in Caldwell saying, I'm going to get my ass kicked. They're all bigger than me, right? So you kind of like learn to size up the room and say, is that guy a better businessman? Does that guy have more money? Is this girl sharper than me? And I did the same exact thing at the Multiple Club, which is why I joined. It's a ton of money what I pay for this organization, but they could charge 5 times what we pay and it will be worth the value because it creates a different mindset, right? So like when you first became a realtor, if somebody said to you 2021 you're going to do 260 million, you would not have believed it, right? Because your mindset is right. So there's people that either have a stick my head in the sand mindset, or there's people that have a mindset that's so big they're delusional, and those people fail to maybe block and tackle, which is what it takes to get there. So like if you look at your growth, so in 2019, what was the total volume in your group?
2019, we landed about 85 million.
Which is amazing. And then last year it was what, 123 million?
123.
And then this year it could potentially grow to 260.
And I think we'll go beyond that too, because we just introduced some really good lead partnerships that came into that are just starting to launch. So yeah.
So while we're on that, talk to me about what areas you're covering right now and how big is your army? Because one of the things of Velocity Money that we're doing is certifying realtors to be Velocity of Money trained realtors. And why that's important is, Brett, you're going to give me your 10 best realtors who you think have the mindset to be able to teach yield, 4 quadrants of real estate. And it's not just investors. It's the owner-occupied mentality that you're going to buy a few of. So once we talk about your army, then we're going to talk about how we can align those two because it's about finding the deals, right? But in order to find the deals, my people and your people have to understand how to analyze the deal. So how many agents do you have right now? And what areas do you cover?
So we're at 34 right now. We're training the newer ones. We brought on a decent amount at the tail end of 2020. And what I tell everybody is if you look at New Jersey, where we comfortably service right now, and Tara Plaza on my team, she's got a listing down to Atlantic City right now. So we do go further down. But where I say we comfortably actively work is if you draw a line through Princeton and just go north of that. That's and kind of tail down. We'll have a little more fun down the shore, throw a little Long Beach Island in there around 1.5 million if anybody wants to buy that stuff. But we'll show you. But that's kind of like where it comes through.
Yeah. So that's awesome because, everybody, I don't think people realize the value of a good real estate agent and a good real estate team or the value of good mortgage people. So we have an advantage and a disadvantage as mortgage people. The Wells, the Cities, the Chases are so well branded that most people just think, I'm going to go there. So that's the disadvantage. But the advantage is that I'm very grateful for them because they kind of screw deals up every day. Right. And I get good, normal borrowers. Like I'm having trouble with Bank of America. And I'm like, okay, you look like a good borrower to me. And we sell everything to Fannie, Freddie and FHA. So like, it's not a matter of like, can you do the deal? It's does your debt to income ratio work? Do you have a little bit of down payment money? It's yes or no. We know within the first half hour. So your agents, I find, I don't know whether you're doing a great job of training them or you're just doing a great job of finding people with a higher level of acumen or a combination of the two. But I find that your agents have that sort of it factor, which can make or break a deal in this market. Because if 5 people are bidding on a house or 20, then how does that agent talk to listing agent into taking, their buyer, right? And that's intelligence, sales skills, and everything else.
Right. No, and that's actually so it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, anybody who's on my team, they're super sharp. It's like the Bill Belichick way where we really should have them take a test before they come on the team. We do, not like a physical, test, but with that, we only seek talent. Like we want that. We want the ex-athlete that knows how to grind. We want the entrepreneur that maybe failed in a boutique launch or something, but has that grit that like
Yeah.
they failed because maybe it wasn't the right business to try to launch, something along the lines of that. Like we like people who have that fight. And it's interesting. Like I've seen people that were straight commission jobs. So I've seen people that, maybe they're a trust fund baby or something, or they just have money given to them and they still grind like all hell because they want to be better than what their parents created. And then I have other people that are given money and they're just completely off the accelerator. And then I have other people that have no money and they're off the accelerator, and other people that don't have money and they're hammering down on the accelerator. So like, it's funny as I was like auditing, their background has nothing to do with it, honestly. Like at the end of it, it's if the parents bring them up and they teach them like the right way, that's great. But you don't need that constant pressure, to create income. You can create income even if you already have income, on that side of things. And it really just goes to the brains. Like I want the type of person, again, you've met all my agents. You could have, a nice glass of champagne with them at a black tie event, or you can go kick it on a boat down by the beach with them. They can roll either way with it, and they can clean it up and they can party, whatever they need to do. And with that, it's that sharpness and that affluent, style that can really, make that $150,000 buyer in Newark feel comfortable, and also make that $3.5 million seller feel like they're getting full service as well.
Yeah, 100%. And that brings up, the idea that I literally talk to my staff about every single day in the office, which is this is a customer journey, right? So as a realtor, if you have intelligence doesn't just mean book smart. It means the ability to communicate with people, the ability to build rapport. Like if you bring my wife into a house that's 1970s and it doesn't have, gray floors and modern, she's going to hate it. Right. So the good realtor will understand somebody's style and say, this is the type of thing you might like. So, when I talk to my staff about the journey, it's understanding what the people want. Right. And then it's bringing them along that journey so they feel comfortable the whole time. So I think 2008 did us a huge disservice. And then it also did us a service. And that's that everybody got afraid because liquidity dried up, right? Real estate tanked. So everybody was a little bit afraid, and everybody thought it was really hard to get loans. Since then, they still do. That's sort of the disservice. Now, the service is that once they meet organizations like ours, we partner up, me or one of my people, with one of your awesome agents. Customers are like, oh, that pre-approval was easy. Oh, Valerie or Zach, they're amazing. Or Dan Spitz, or any of your guys that are doing great. You have an umpteen amount of people that are doing great. But then when you bring them along that journey, not only do they feel comfortable, but then they invite. I make a joke all the time. I'm like, I need one thing from you. And they're all nervous because they're like in pre-approval stage. And they're like, what? I'm like, when we close on this house, I need to be invited to the barbecue this summer. It's funny. But you know what? That's what they imagine. They imagine being in their backyard with their friends with a 6-pack of Corona Light or whatever it is. And that's the American dream. So it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be, oh, they needed my pay stubs. No, we tell them up front what they need. So when you tell your student what homework they need to do on day one of school, okay, they don't want to do homework, but guess what? At least they know what to expect. And then along that journey, they're more comfortable and you're not throwing curveballs at them.
Right. And actually, so that's a really good point too. And I have all these people that say, hey, I want to buy a home in 2 years. Great. Talk to Frank now, because you need to know what you need to start gathering document. Like I know I've been pre-approved enough where I know everything that I'm going to need for the most part that you guys are going to be asking. But a lot of times, even those questions up front can create that like, oh, I don't know where 2018 tax returns are.
Yeah.
But if you start prepping them with that very initial conversation and start teeing them up to have a plan around home ownership or have a plan around investing a year from today, it doesn't just, always come where it's like, hey, I have an extra 50 grand in my bank account. I want to go buy a house now. Like start developing that. And then you can actually put that into a folder and know exactly what Frank needs a year before Frank needs it and start building a file.
Yeah, 100%. And I find that 95% of the borrowers are insecure about the home buying process, or insecure about the ability to get a loan. And some people are insecure about their credit. And I say to people all the time, listen, it's not that your credit might be bad. It's that your spending and bill paying habits might not be as tight as they need to be. So like, I can't tell you how many people carry that sort of backpack with bricks in it. I have bad credit. Well,
Right.
That's like saying I'm overweight. You don't have to stay overweight. Now, some people have slower metabolism than other people. You don't have to keep bad credit. You can change your habits that can improve your life, that make the home buying opportunity more of a secure feeling versus an insecure feeling. So when we talk to people a lot of times, and I'll be like, you actually could afford more than you think you could afford, and you're ready to buy today. And they might think they're a year out, because one of the other things people do wrong or think wrong is they either think it's an FHA loan, first time homebuyer loan, with 3.5% down, or it skips all the way to 20% down. And I'm like, do you guys realize you could do 3%, 5%, 10%, 15% down on conventional loans? Do you realize that there's a mortgage insurance buyout? Everyone thinks if I don't put 20% down, I'm going to have mortgage insurance. How about if you put 10% down and there's a buyout, and it might be $5,000 at the closing table, and you have no mortgage insurance for the rest of the loan? People don't even know that exists.
Yeah.
One more little thing about mortgages, and then we'll get back to you guys. Let me ask you this, and I think I've said this to you, so you know the answer. Do you think the interest rates are better with 20% down or with 15% down?
I feel like the answer is going to be 15%, but I would have guessed 20.
Yeah, you would guess 20, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's why the answer is 15% down. The bond market buys loans, right? It's the mortgage-backed security pools. When the bond market goes to buy a loan, whether it's a big bank, a hedge fund, an aggregator, whatever, a 15% down loan is insured. It's insured by a mortgage insurance company. If that loan goes into foreclosure, right, the mortgage insurance company actually has insured that loan and has insured that lender against default. So if I'm Chase and I'm buying $100 million worth of insured loans versus $100,000 worth of non-insured loans, I bid up on the insured loans because the cost to foreclose in an emergency is zero. It's much less because the mortgage insurance company is covering it. So actually, it's a better interest rate with 15%. So I show people, keep your 20 grand in the bank. I'll get you a quarter better on rate. You'll be happy. We'll buy out the mortgage insurance, and all in net, you keep 17 grand and you have the same payment.
There you go.
And they're thrilled. Yeah. So let's talk about your coach. How long have you been using this coach that you use?
So I've been with, and I always have different coaches. Right now, who I'm working heavily with is Bill Pipes with the Tom Ferry organization, and Jeff Mays coaches the team. So in my opinion, as far as real estate's concerned, those are like number one and number two in the world. Bill is incredible with the conversations. I actually have him today at 1:00. So that's why I have to wrap at 12:45. I have to digest my thoughts. And Bill and I, like, if I tell people, if you could, be a fly on the wall on that, we rip. It's a 30-minute call, and we really rip with topics. So I have a lot of people. I'm just gonna, since we spun the coaching a little bit, I have a lot of people that I coach, and it's so interesting to me, and it actually became a skill of mine or a trained muscle that you have to jot down as thoughts are happening throughout the week. You have to jot them down and not let those escape, but you don't have to focus on them that day.
Yeah.
When it comes into like that actual coaching time, everything that I do, once a week coaching. My leadership meeting is once a week within the SIKORA group. We bring all of those ideas to that, and it is just I can curse, right? Fucking rapid fire of.
As long as Facebook and everybody else doesn't get mad at you.
It is just a rapid fire of like boom, 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 boom. We might grab one thing and then I spin off of it and go break things for another week. I find so many people that get coached. It's so interesting where they don't use the following to go break shit, And like you, for instance, you go to that seminar and launch a gigantic coaching company around it. It's like you're breaking shit now. You're in that action. It's creating issues. It's creating. So many people live in that comfortable world where like everything's okay and they don't want to blow the wheels off of it. And I feel like every single day, and Kara can tell you, like I'm blowing the wheels off shit and then putting them back on and then blow it off and put it back on. And that's what creates that growth. It's that crazy level of uncomfortableness and being able to live in that. Like the more you can live in an uncomfortable world, the more you're growing.
Yeah. I mean, every Friday at 10:00 in my office, I have a frank motivational meeting for my team. I've been doing a lot of Ed Milet podcasts. I don't know if you ever watched Ed Milet. He's a beast. He's my age. He's right around 50 years old. He's top 50, under 50 wealthiest people in the country, like worth over $1 billion. But it gets to the point where you start out like, okay, I want to be a W-2 employee because I went to college and I think that's what I should do. Then some people have the gumption to be like, I want to go on a commission job. And people will say to me, well, how have you always been on commission? And I said, it's mentality. And not only do people like you and I have a straight commission job, we have overhead because we have salaries that we pay, right? So that's the next level. So then after that, you go, all right, what level do I need to get to? Because at some point you get to a certain income level where making the money just isn't enough, right? And then you get to the point where you want to start giving back, whether it's a religious organization, a charity, or it's what I launched, the coaching program, because I think America has a problem. The problem is retirement or lack of retirement funds. So my give back is this coaching program. I spoke to a couple last night that I am so fired up about because they have good W-2 jobs. They live in a 2-family. They have money in the bank, and they told me how much they have saved. And I'm like, I can literally quadruple that money for you in 10 years or less because it's the power and the leverage of the real estate. So I see the vision for them. Now, when we die, and whatever you believe religiously, I believe you go up to God and he looks at you and says, you know, were you a faithful servant? Like, what did you do for some of my people? Making a living, feeding my family, obviously that comes first. But then helping thousands or tens of thousands of people become real estate millionaires is exciting. Right. Like, that's why I'm so passionate about the coaching, because I look at struggling people when we get our loan apps. And in New Jersey, you know, you can make 200 grand and barely pay your bills, you know, and have 20 grand in credit card debt or whatever. But it's sometimes a matter of reallocating budget and then putting it into things that are used wisely, like the power and leverage of real estate. So you and I clearly both believe in real estate as an asset for short-term, long-term, and retirement growth. And then I take it a step further in my coaching and I say, I don't even ever want you to sell it. I want you to put it in a trust for generational wealth, right? Which is what's really exciting. And you and Kara, when we first met and heard me speak, got that right away. I mean, obviously you were already in the game. Kara wasn't even in the game yet, but that's the stuff that's exciting because then we can help people with their own vision.
Right. No, and it's so true too. And actually when I was thinking and COVID times are a really good time to reassess your whole budget. But when you mentioned that a lot of times people are getting pre-approved for more than they even thought they could afford, they're still living without any money because they've never taken a look. Like, the bank will lend them a certain amount of dollars based on their income and their debt to income or whatever. But they're being an asshole somewhere else in their budget, and that's why they never have money. So it's just, to go back to that, that's what I was thinking of as well. And it's so funny. Like, if you really actually create that downward pressure on your budget and put it towards an actual savings account. Like, I have no car payment. So I used to pay $700 a month for my car, and I want to get a parking spot in my garage for $225. But I feel like I'm being cheap with it. So what I did was I took the $925 a month and I just put an automatic bill on my checking account to a savings account. It comes out weekly. So it's just literally like $125 comes out. But over the course of the year, it's like 11 grand, 12 grand. And I just do that with things. Every time Karen and I decide, hey, we're not going to go to Spain. Cool. I just saved $14,000. Boom, right into the savings account. You know? So I bring that up because it really is simple. And when I've seen, and I'm not good at it either, I'm just getting good at it now. when I see people who've been living, for years and years, and they're making $38,000 a year, and they own a couple different properties already, and they have no debt on their first one, it's very interesting. And like how different people live and how you can really be smart with this whole thing. Like, I get the itch to go lease a stupid car every single day, and then I just don't,
Yeah, which is great discipline, which sometimes comes over time with age and maturity. But, that brings up a good point because we see so many different credit reports, financial portfolios. We see the way that society, I mean, I've done over $1 billion in loans. You think you've seen it all. And everybody has a different viewpoint of how they should manage their finances. Probably the most important class that you could teach in high school or college is a finance and budgeting class.
Right.
And nobody has it, right? So everybody comes to us with the old psychology, which they probably learned from mom and dad or grandma, right? And you know, that's a 50-year-old. Imagine if our technology today was 50 years old. Imagine if we were doing, I don't even know when that was. Oh, I do actually. I was born in 1970. I'm 50. So in 1970, right? Imagine if we were still living under that technology. Yet we took advice from grandma in 1978, and we're still living our life financially that way.
Yeah.
It's not going to work,
Yeah.
right? So when I talk to people, I love when I talk to people that are interested in investing in real estate, because there's so many different ideas, which is stemmed from past experiences, speaking to a couple of realtors. Maybe they saw a DIY show, right? And they're like, you know, one guy's like, oh, I'm going to flip properties and make 50 grand every time. I'm like, oh, you realize the material costs are double of what they were 3 years ago? No, I didn't realize that. Okay. And then another person's like, yeah, I want to take a 15-year mortgage and pay off this as quick as possible. I'm like, that's a good idea. I want you to pay off as quick as possible too, using the tenant's money. But I want you to take a 30-year fixed, because you want to make sure the tenant pays every month. And as long as you have the cash flow, take 50% of it, pay extra, take the other 50% of it, put it away for repairs. So the purpose of my coaching program is to change lives. I think I can improve America. I think I can improve 10, 20, 30,000 people's retirement future, which starts when they're 25 years old. They don't realize it. But I was 25 yesterday, and you wake up and you're 50 or 60. So it happens fast. So people have to act now. But the other part of it is it's a laser focus in allowing people to understand what it takes to have that end game, right? I'm sure when you talk to your realtors, you start with saying, what do you want to make this year, right? You start with the end game in mind, and they might have a goal. I want to make 100,000. I want to make 200,000. Okay, then what do you have to do monthly, weekly, daily, and hourly to get there? Yet when it comes to budgeting and retirement, America doesn't do that. They just kind of wing it and live life every day.
Yep.
So we kind of have to get them there. So your agents, I didn't even bring this up to you. I'm bringing it up to you now. I want to find 10 of them that can be Velocity Money certified agents. And we're going to do 3 levels of certification. We're going to do a silver, which is just a quick 2-hour video that I've already recorded, and a 1-hour consultation class. They have to just understand yield and the power for it. They can speak intelligently at that point to my coaching students. But then we're going to give some scholarships to my group coaching that I charge. We're going to do up to 20 people group coaching. And those people we meet with twice a month for 90 days, and then once a month for the next 9 months of the year. And I want to put some of your agents in that class, because what we're going to do is strategically put agents in every area. So when our students come through coaching, they're ready to speak to the agent, which can speak at the same level of acumen.
Yep.
Because by the time we're done with these coaching students, they're going to be beasts. They're going to be ready to kill it in real estate. And they're not going to buy 1 property. They're going to buy 3 to 5 properties, because I'm going to show them the math, right? Because you've been to my seminars. 3 properties, you'll retire in 12 to 15 years with $12,000 to $15,000 a month of retirement income. And 5 properties is $20,000 a month of retirement income. Most people can live on that very comfortably. So together, I'm excited about equipping your agents and my team with that sort of level of customer service where we can help our coaching students.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of agents don't understand how valuable it is to really understand those numbers. And maybe they say, you know what, Brett, I don't want to work with investors too much. Okay, cool. Well, let's take your Hoboken condo owner who just got their big bonus, Wall Street bonus, moved to Chatham and says, you know what, Brett, I don't want to sell my condo at the Hudson T. I bought it for $800,000. I'm renting it for $3,600 a month. All is well. All right, cool. Well, how much equity do you have tied up in that? It's $300,000, $400,000, and you're breaking even. So let's start figuring out like this whole thing. You literally have money there that you're hoping will appreciate when? 10 years down the road? What if Lehman Brothers fails again? What if it goes the other way? What if what if we go backwards? Whereas if you have the knowledge that you actually teach in these classes, you could easily say, well, if you like Hoboken real estate, I'd rather you take that $400,000 and go buy 4 $400,000 1-bed condos in Hoboken And now your rent is $8,000 a month, and you're diversified across 4 investments, and you're the exact same amount of. It's the same product essentially. It still has the ego drive behind that white collar investment, but it's just interesting how people think, and having that knowledge with yield, with all of that, will 1,000% help the actual buyer become a better investor. But even more importantly, like what's more in my world is having the agent really know how to pivot with those conversations, because what people think they do that makes sense. If you, any commercial lender or anything, like nobody will like go get a commercial loan on one of those condos. They're going to give you like 50% of the because the numbers just don't work.
No, absolutely. And that's why, you're like my younger brother from a different generation, because you're speaking the same language as my brain. I mean, how many times have you hit me up on a Sunday like, hey, does this work? Like 3 family, blah, blah, blah. And we're crunching numbers. And then you're apologizing to me for hitting me up on a Sunday. I'm like, are you kidding me? I love this stuff. You kidding? I'm like, I'm talking to my wife on this side and I'm doing the calculation on the other side. But, everybody has a depression mentality, and everybody's like, the depression mentality is like, get rid of the mortgage as soon as possible. And I teach people at what cost, right? If you look at a pie chart, which is somebody's net worth, if 90% of their net worth is buried in the home, equity is just a feeling. You know when equity is not a feeling? When you sell the house or you take money out on a cash out refi, then it's a tangible asset. But until that, it's a feeling. We all think our houses are worth more than maybe they really are, because it's wishful thinking. We want to sell for X and we want to turn it into Y. But you made a great point, because somebody with a couple $100,000 is probably better off either selling it or getting enough rent where they actually make the cash flow, and then diversifying, which is exactly what we teach people, which you and your people understand.
Yep.
We're in a very wealthy area, thank God. And with the seed money that comes from the Wall Street executive that lives in Hoboken, they can parlay even a little 401k or IRA money, or even a little equity in their house to buy 1, 2, or 3 properties. And that's the beauty that actually blows people away in my seminars, is like, well, with $100,000, we're going to show you how to buy $1 million or $1.5 million worth of real estate.
Yep.
So what are you better off with? $100,000, a 3% return, a 5% return, even 11% return in the stock market pales in comparison to the $1.5 million in real estate that a tenant's paying off for you, that is appreciating in value, which is actually the 4th most important thing, and that gives you cash flow and amortization yield. Yeah. That's why Trump became president, because he understood the power and the leverage of using the bank's money to acquire 10 times the wealth. And that's what we're teaching people. You guys get it, I get it, but not enough people in society get it.
Totally. Yeah, it's a very valuable thing to know, and it's not hard to learn. It's quick. And not quick, but like you have to underwrite your own deals. You have to play around with it and stuff. Like you have to get there. But like Phil Kohler, for instance, he's one of, you did the loan for him. He's now a real estate agent as well. He's a great example of somebody that he had a spreadsheet and everything like that. He knew how to run the numbers. And now as a realtor, he offers value right out the get to do the exact same thing for his clients too.
Yeah, and he picked my brain. He was a student. He picked my brain on 5 or 10 conversations. I did a refi on his condo. He bought his owner occupied. He buys something else in Pennsylvania. And we have a couple of people like that are agents of yours that are learning, growing. And the thing is, like, there's 3 groups of people, and then we'll wind down and finish this conversation just so we can stay on track for time. There's 3 groups of people. There's the first-time home buyers who don't own anything yet. There's the single family or condo owner who owns their primary residence, which a lot of people do first. And then there's the real estate investor who maybe has a property or flipped the property or whatever. All 3 of them can learn from us. Number 1, the first-time home buyer has such an advantage, because we could do 3, 2, 1 and done. We could do single family fast track. We can show them how to acquire 3 properties in 3 years for less than 40 grand. Incredible. But the single family or condo owner, they're in pretty good shape too, because they're probably married with kids. They might have some equity. They might have a little money in a 401k, and we can show them how to extract that money and parlay it into real estate. Because if you have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 grand in your 401k, it's really not going to be very much income in retirement. Right. And then you have the real estate investor who has no end game in sight. They don't really know what they're doing as far as, I'm going to flip a property and make 50 grand. Well, even if you did that, what are you doing? You're on a treadmill. Right? Let me show you why you want to parlay some of that money into your 3 rentals and I'll at least get you to retirement, and then you could have some fun in between. And that's what we're doing for people.
And it's so funny that you bring that up too. So like when you mentioned that earlier on, I think of, so I've done a decent amount of flips. I've done a decent amount of buy and hold. I've built new construction. I've been involved in condo conversions. Like I've been involved in a decent amount of stuff. And what I would tell that flipper is that's your day job. You're not building wealth doing that. Go do 6 flips a year, make your $300,000, and you'll probably not net 300 at the end of it, like you were saying earlier. But you need to allocate a certain amount of money. And Grant Cardone says, hey, try to create that surplus of 40%. And if you either need to make more money or you need to spend less money, however you're going to get there. And again, I know your 3, 2, and 1 and done uses less money. But with that, you have to be taking a certain amount of income from that and allocating it towards different things and have that whole goal, have that whole plan. I had a coaching client of mine that was supposed to buy a building every year. He didn't buy one in 2020. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? That's not, you went off your plan. Why did you not, you didn't make less money. Why didn't you buy a property? But I also bring that back into it too, because I went off on that whole flipping tear where I was trying to make $50,000 a deal and I was trying to do this and I was trying to do that. And what I realized is that I'm really, really, really good at the SIKORA group. I'm really good at coaching real estate agents. I'm really good at selling properties myself. That is my highest and best use of time. And it took me 5 or 6 years to understand that. So when you're an entrepreneur, when you're going to do this, or you're doing that, I would say focus on what you're insanely good at, where you can really print money, and don't chase that shiny object. And then the money that you're printing in that category, go into Frank's, school, like really make sure that you're building wealth with it, because there's so many mistakes. When I look back at, when I started this 2008, 2009, I'm so far behind where I could be if I could go meet myself in 2009 again, net worth wise, passive income wise. There's just so many mistakes that had happened. And I think that's exactly what your school is all about. I mean, you want to teach people not to make the same mistakes that me and you have made, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 2005 and 8, I doubled down and I made so many mistakes because I dealt in pride and ego and I thought I was a big shot.
Yeah.
And that got me outside the premise of yield and what the real premise of real estate investing is. And that's the point, as I say to people all the time. If someone says to you, zero down in real estate, you can make 20 grand a month tomorrow, you could be a millionaire in 2 years, run from that person, because it's BS. It's not real. Here's what's real. We get you in a couple properties. We teach you how to analyze the properties. We send them out to your army. We get in 3 pieces of real estate. We show you how to use the power of the bank's money to buy the property, the power of the tenant's money to pay off the property. We show you how to file your tax returns properly and get this real estate paid off in 15 years. That's what works. This other stuff, these internet guys are just really good at marketing lies, honestly. And the thing with our coaching program is we want to over deliver. I want people screaming from the rooftops that we changed their lives. And I know your organization is going to be part of that because you have such a strong team that we're going to have that synergy and we're just going to rock and roll and we're going to help a lot of people.
Yeah. And to take it full circle too, something you were saying earlier is it got to the point where I'm bored in my own creations of like what I can do. And this really has turned into like when people come onto my team, when I'm having conversations with people like Dan Spitz, 25, 26 years old, we jokingly say, hey, I want you retired by 30. But like, I actually want you retired by 30, or I want your life to be insanely good by 30. And the byproduct of that is, I win too. But how do we create that downward pressure too? So if to go back to, if anybody has any interest in seeing what we're up to, getting certified with Frank. I mean, we on the real estate side of things, we have a lot of really good things happening in 2021 that create a lot of opportunity for real estate agents on all sides of the spectrum. But I think this is, as always, man. I mean, it was your presentation that got you instantly into rapport with me and my wife, and that was a 15-minute thing at the Gorga event. So give Frank a shot, talk to him, understand what he's about, and I can guarantee you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense.
I always ask to speak to the spouse too, because if I speak to a husband and then he brings it back to the wife, it doesn't translate, and the wife says no, and so I like to speak to husband and wife together. So, in conclusion, number one, how does everybody get in touch with you? But important part, if you're an existing agent, maybe you want to talk to Brett and his organization. but you've brought on some new agents that were in the corporate world too, right? So even if you're new to the business, I suggest you call Brett and find out how you can start making money as a realtor. So how does everybody get in touch with you?
I would say the easiest is just on Instagram. Shoot me a direct message to Brett, BRETT SIK. So that's my Instagram handle. Follow me on there. Let's start chatting. Definitely shoot me a DM and we'll take it from there.
Cool. And as you guys know, I can be reached. Jasmine's about to put up. Jasmine, where do we want people reaching out to us on our coaching program, mortgage? We have 10 people here working on the loans every day. Yep. Hello at the. She has all these fancy emails. I forget which one.
I was going to say, can I rent a Jasmine? How do I talk to Jasmine?
She's unbelievable. She's out here.
Jasmine.
She's 23 years old. She's literally running my office. I'm at home eating bonbons all day long.
Yeah, she's like, Frank, sit here. You're going to talk for 45 minutes and then shut up and go back home.
And then leave because you're going to ruin the rest of the day for everybody. So it's hello@thevelocityofmoney.com. Fully functional mortgage company. We love and help people. We're coaching people. We're partnering up with Brett and his team, and we're excited to help you all. So to stay on track, you got to go to your coaching call. As always, it's a pleasure. Good luck with the baby when the baby comes. I'm so excited for you guys, and we're going to have a fun year together.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.